I'd been toying with the idea of doing somatic journeys when Aaliyah's meditations popped up on my feed on YouTube. Once I watched and did a couple, it just seemed like she was the real deal. And I did them quite a bit, listened to a lot of her videos. And shortly after that, her invitation, her short video came across my feed, and it was a perfect time. I had a feeling she was just the real deal. And after talking with Aaliyah briefly, I committed to a series of journeys with her. She was just the right person at the right time, and I don't regret moving on my impulse to work with her at all. Working with Aaliyah was very different because it was structured yet self-directed in a way I hadn't done before. Um, my body decided what needed to be looked at, and it was very no nonsense. There was no going into the past. There was no. Aaliyah just has a way of bringing you into the moment without all the emotion and baggage. It's actually quite remarkable. So it was a very individual process. I'd given up on individual practitioners a long time ago because, quite frankly, I know this sounds terrible, but I felt like I knew more than they did. And most importantly, it was so incredibly personal working with Aaliyah. The messages from my body through the sessions have stayed with me. They haven't faded, and I can work with them at any point as if I was reliving the session. And that is really different and remarkable, actually, because I had a tendency to be gung-ho with things, and go whole hog, and then stop thinking about it, and it all goes away. But this is so personal because it's come from my own body. It's things my own soul and spirit are trying to help me with. So to ignore that and not work with it would be foolish. So I continue to work with the messages that I was given through those sessions, and I'm in no way having just scratched the surface. But if you never start, then you never start. As alluded to prior, the session memories are actually in my body, so I can access them and work with them on my own. But one lesson that has continued for me daily is where calm presence lives in my body at this moment in time. One fundamental shift happened with Aaliyah in, I think it was our second session. We were completely energetically rebuilding an area of my spine that had been surgically damaged. And I continue to work with that area to make sure it remains stabilized and free. I feel like I can release foreign energy faster from my body to regain a sense of calm and neutrality. It's not perfect, but I know this is a journey, and it's lifelong. And when I'm ready to learn and receive more, I'll get it. I've lived in this body for 56 years without really understanding it. It's crazy, but I don't feel I'm alone in this experience. I continually have really amazing experiences with nature. I've always been able to be very still in nature and become part of the environment, and then nature will kind of show itself to me. I have been working with treating injured animals, and I've always been a little bit nervous of that because I never wanted to hurt them more than they already were. The other day, I found an injured opossum when I was biking, and it was, I don't know whether you've ever seen an opossum, but they have a huge mouthful of teeth, and they can be vectors for rabies and all kinds of things. And coming upon an injured animal, I'm always very wary because they're injured and they'll lash out. So I watched it for a little while. I watched a couple of other people try to approach it, and it was, full bare teeth, the whole thing. And so once the other people kind of left it alone, I went up to it really, really slowly, and just kind of sat with it for a minute, looked into its eye. It looked at me, and I looked back at it really briefly. And almost I tried to just emanate, "It's okay. Just calm. I'm not going to hurt you." And then I just stopped looking at it. I looked away and I just sat with it. We just kind of had a moment where the animal kind of knew that I wasn't going to hurt it. I was there for the right reason. And it just calmed right down. I didn't look at it. I just sat beside it. I looked in peripheral just in case something shifted, but I knew nothing was going to shift. I just knew it. It was a moment for me because I had always been afraid of that type of thing, and I wasn't afraid of this animal. I don't know. I can't explain it. It was just different this time. So that was a really nice moment. My experience with water, this part may be a little convoluted. After Aaliyah schooled me on my internal ocean, a new sensitivity to the qualities of water has seemed to open up to me. I'm able to experience water differently. I can feel different energies and characteristics of water when I'm immersed in it. Almost like a purity of water when it's filtered through the earth rather than water that's been filtered by human means. It's different. It's tangibly different. I'm still learning about how to experience and talk about it, but like swimming in water off of a secluded island in Cuba, the water felt sharp, calm, very uncomplicated. And then swimming in the Gulf of Mexico off the coast of Florida, the water felt very complicated and frenetic, almost like a nervous energy to it. And then, contrary to that, swimming in natural spring of fresh water was so regenerative on a level I had not experienced before. The purity of the water and its energetic potential was like a clean slate. And it had an energy that I could easily absorb and benefit from. It mingled very easily with my own energy body, where the other forms of water had an energy of their own, almost like they'd already been imprinted on, and they weren't as easy for my own energetic field to integrate with, if that makes sense. One last thing I wanted to share about learning about energies and starting to better understand and look for the energies that are working on and around me. I've always been energetically sensitive. I was always told I was too sensitive, but now I feel even more sensitive. I have not yet mastered how to filter energy, only to recognize their impact on me in the moment. I need to build that muscle that allows those energies to dissipate or for me to deal with them differently. Something in me still wants to interact or even collect energies from my environment. So, for example, I watched a father berate his small daughter for something, and the energy of that hit me like a sledgehammer. I had to get away from it to release it. So, to stay neutral to situations of human carelessness or innocence under threat is still a work in progress for me. But the energy is real, like it's tangible. I understand that it is a thing and it is working on me and I am working with it. So it's not all in my head. And now I've just started to scratch the surface on how to work with those energies and work with myself when I'm confronted with energies that I find intolerable or hard to manage.